video. Today we're going to be breaking down my top 10 movements, my top 10 favorite exercises that I have done throughout the course of my strength and conditioning career and now into powerlifting. These are my top 10 exercises for just pure enjoyment, not necessarily the exercises that I do for specific hypertrophy or strength training or conditioning or any specific realms, but these are just movements that I like doing. And I saw Alan Thrall post a video a couple weeks ago about what his top 10 movements were, so I thought I'd do the same, and I will say mine differ quite substantially from his. So I hope you enjoy today's video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Cal Martin. I'm a strength athlete. I formerly played high school and college sports, and then moved on to some strength sports, and I've just been a lifelong lover of the gym. So that's a little bit about me, and hope you enjoy today's video. So starting off at number 10, we're gonna have the lunge. Now, the lunge is an awesome movement for anyone really who has just the requisite mobility to get down into a lunge. You can do the lunge weighted or unweighted, or you can have the weight off to the sides or on your back, or no weight at all. I know some people would just straight do miles worth of lunges, which just sounds so painful, but I mean, if that's your cup of tea, go at it. But the lunge is a great lower body exercise. You can load it however heavy you want. It's great for hypertrophy, and you can't load it too heavy just because of the limitations that, biomechanically trying to lunge up a ton of weight from that position is kind of difficult. The lunge I really love for kind of finishing off lower body days where it gets a good pump going, and I can really feel my legs in those higher rep ranges even when it's unloaded. So I really like the lunge. Also for conditioning work, if you strap up so your grip isn't a limiting factor, you can take those puppies for a ride and go for 30 or 40 steps, and by the end you're pretty gassed. So that's good conditioning work. Lunge overall, really great exercise. I plan on doing a lot of lunges throughout the rest of my life, especially as I get up there in age and want some movements that are a little less hard on the joints. Now, number 9 is the front squat. Now, front squat is a great movement for athletics, as it really puts you through a movement pattern that resembles a lot of movements that you'll see, especially in football, when you're coming off the line as a lineman, or you're at a linebacker taking on a pulling lineman, or going up to meet a running back. You really need that explosive power through pushing up your chest from a loaded position up forward to the top of the lift. So front squat's a really great movement for that. Also for strongman, like the front squat is a really great movement for getting stronger in a multitude of events, whether it be the stone loading, or if you're going to do some Viking presses. Even just holding the weight in that front loaded position is a great practice for those events. A log press, all of these things have high carryover from the front squat into these events, and it's really a great movement for both lower body development, and also whenever I do front squats, my back the next day is pretty spent. So it's a really great exercise for both lower body, hips, and then you get some erector and even upper back tension and development through the front squat. So I really like the front squat, and I'll probably also be doing that a lot as I go throughout my life as I get a little bit older too, specifically because it's really hard to load that as heavy as you can load a back squat, just because of the limitations on the mobility for me, at least, trying to get a good front rack position all the way down that's loaded with 500-600 pounds like you can at back squat. So I really am a big fan of the front squat, and it's a great beginner movement too, especially if you're going to be doing some ollie lifting down the line. Now, number 8 on the list is the pull-up. The pull-up is a great body weight exercise to develop your lats and your back, and really start to go on the road to getting yacked and getting yoked on your back. So I really like pull-ups just for the mere fact that you don't even need to load them. You can just go start cranking out pull-ups. And to be honest, if you do strict pull-ups, I mean, that's just a perfect substitution for a lat pull down. And I know there's some nuances, and some of you may say, no, they're completely different movements. But in actuality, I mean, you're kind of working the same movement pattern. And if you really want to change it up to nuance it to make it feel like a lat pull down, you can alter that movement while you're doing a pull up and pull from different angles while you can move your torso. And you can also do it loaded. Get a dip belt on, load up some plates on there and crank out some pull-ups. It's a great test of willpower as well. You know, I love going to like fairs and stuff and seeing the Marine Corps recruiters or whatever with the pull-up bar out there, and there's kids like trying to crank out like 3 pull-ups. I just love seeing that stuff just because it's a movement anyone can do, and it's a big test of willpower and just general purpose strength. And I also pride myself on being able to do a decent amount of pull-ups for a 100-kilo lifter. So I'm a big fan of the pull-ups, both loaded and body weight. Great exercise, also great for forearm training and just holding there in the static hold to really test your grip strength. So pull-up is a great movement. I'd suggest it to anyone who's really getting started out, especially if you have limitations in equipment. Now, number 7 on my list is jumping. Jumping has always been one of my favorite ways to train explosive capabilities and get ready for sports, especially. I would always like to do jumping before I jump into lifting heavy, especially at the start of the workout after I warm up, to do some plyometrics, whether it be some static hold jumps or some drop jumps or some elastic reflection jumps. Any of these things I really like to do. It honestly primes me pretty well for lifting heavy. I don't know if it's the stretch reflex that you get at the bottom of the squat, but I really like training jumping. I've always been a big fan of using it as a way to teach, or using it as a product of lifting. So through the clean, through the squat, and growing these lower body muscles and training that explosive power and having that transition into something that's testable and something that is valued highly in our professional sports leagues and through track and field is jumping. So you can translate a lot of these weighted movements like the clean, like a kettlebell swing, and grow your engine in order to produce a higher jump. So I'm a big fan of jumping just for everyday purpose. It's nice to be able to jump. I think continuing to jump for general purpose training is an awesome way just to stay fit. Even if that was your whole workout, is to just go do box jumps or to do just vertical leaps. I think it is a great way, obviously, to develop your explosive power, but just for general training, I mean, you can turn it into cardio if you want, or you can really do slow eccentrics into a jump. There's a lot of different ways that you can switch up the jumping. You can also combine, something like a lunge and a jump and do some alternating jumping lunges. That is one of the hardest exercises, I swear, is doing doing some HIIT training into with the jumping lunge. Like, I don't train HIIT very much, but dang, I did that a couple times, and man, that was pretty painful during COVID when I didn't have any weights to train with. I would do that a lot. So jumping, big fan. I've always loved jumping and just testing myself to see how high I can jump. So yeah, that's number 7 on the list. Number 6 is the barbell back squat. Some of you may be surprised that it's this low on my list. I do love the squat. It's always been one of my favorite out of the big 3. But I think that, not to dog on the squat, because it's 6th out of all my lifts, but there's many ways to replicate the in terms of getting the same hypertrophy from other movements. You can get similar hypertrophy from other movements than you can the squat. And for some people, it's hard to pick up, but not to say it's a great movement. You can really use the squat as a great compound movement to replace those other movements that I was talking about. But the further you get down the line, the harder it is, at least for me anecdotally, to really progress from a hypertrophic standpoint using the squat as compared to, these isolation exercises where I can grow my muscle a little bit better, get a better range of motion through them, which on meet day will help me produce a bigger total in the squat. But in terms of doing like a 4x8 or something that's going to be really fatiguing on the squat, it's just hard for me at this point to get those kind of gains and work through that range of motion over and over and over again with the loads that I need to load in order to produce that. But I mean, I've been lifting for, I don't know, like 10 years, like more than like a better part of my life. So like for all the way up to this point, including some now, I can still get like great hypertrophic gains from that. I just run into some fatigue issues a little bit along the way, but for beginners or intermediates, or even going into advanced, like it's a great movement for lower body strength. Anyone training for any sport, just trying to put on some muscle mass, I could not suggest squatting enough. It's just a great movement. Number 5 is the push press. I'm a big fan of the push press, and I think it's super underrated of a movement. It trains both shoulder strength, but on the same token, it trains athletic and explosiveness ability from that front squat position up ahead. Now, for those of you who don't know, the push press is the intersection between a shoulder press and a jerk. So in a shoulder press, you don't want to use any of your legs, you just want to press straight up. In a jerk, you want to use all your legs and your feet leave the floor. And the difference between those two and the push press is that in the push press, your feet don't leave the floor, but you can still bend your legs into the push press. And on the rebound, you can catch it and go back up, using your quads just a little bit at the bottom. And honestly, the push press almost hits the triceps and and your legs a little bit more than it does your shoulders, because at the bottom where your shoulders would be most stretched out and have the biggest potential for the press, and that would hit your shoulders the most, the legs are helping till about right here, and then just with the extension you're hitting the triceps. So especially if you have a little bit narrower of a grip. Anyways, I really like the push press. It can be used for conditioning and just shoulder and tricep building. It's a great movement. They use a lot in CrossFit. I did CrossFit for a while growing up, and I always loved seeing push press on the ledger. Number 4, everyone's favorite, deadlift. I shouldn't say everyone. It's not my favorite, but deadlift is a great movement. It's one of the big 3, so I have to have it on here, and I personally love it. It's probably the weakest of the big 3 for the powerlifting, the bench squat, and deadlift, but I would say, yeah, it's probably my weakest lift, but I really like the progression I've gone on in the deadlift and what it feels like to just pick up, like 600 pounds off the floor and just like lock it out. It just feels so good just to lock that puppy out and just know that you picked up like 600 pounds off the ground. And it's last in a powerlifting meet, so everyone gets so hyped because this is what determines who wins the meet. So it's really a testament to willpower within the competitors competing in that meet. But not only that, the deadlift has a lot of benefits for hamstring, glute, and back development. Trying to do too many deadlifts or too much volume can result into some serious fatigue and like can roast you pretty hard. Like I can only deadlift like once or twice a week, or else my erectors, my lower back just gets toasted. But I really like the deadlift. It's one of the most fun exercises for me to do, and I love training it. Number 3 on the list is sprinting. sprinting has always been a cornerstone to training for athletics growing up for me. I haven't done it as much recently now that I'm focusing a little bit more on powerlifting, but I remember when I was training for my freshman year of college for football, the program they had us do was it was essentially timed 100 yards sprints, and we'd start at 3, and then every week we would add 2, so it went 3, 5, 7, 9, and then it went up, and we do that twice a week during the summer getting ready for the season. And I remember starting off like I was like 300 yard sprints, like I'm already dying, like it's the middle of the summer, and I'm just like, oh, this is terrible. And I weren't even that fast, but I was kind of I was just tired from working, and I was just tired that day, I guess. But over the course of that summer, I got in some of the best cardiovascular shape of my life. And like by the end, I was doing like 25 or 27 of 100 yard. I was doing like 25 or 27 of these 100 yard sprints. And I just got in like really great cardiovascular shape. And over that time, I got like really fast. I was one of the fastest people when I went down, fastest linebackers, I should say, when I got down to California. But it was really fun to see how that progressed and how quickly it progressed. People can lift at the gym for a really long time and build muscle really slowly, but you can go from being pretty slow to like decently fast in a short amount of time if you like really practice sprinting and really working on being fast. And then also doing track growing up, obviously doing a lot of sprinting. I threw javelin in college, and we did a little bit of sprinting to really prime that explosive power. But I'm a huge fan and advocate for sprinting along with lifting weights for enhanced athletic ability for your sport. Number 2 on the list is the power clean. Power clean has always been one of the movements that I really like to chase. My biggest goal for so long was a 315 power clean, which I finally hit a couple of years ago. But I was like, growing up, I just wanted that 3-plate clean. I just want to do it. And I always just loved how it was just such a testament to like athletic ability and explosiveness, getting that weight up and catching it in that front position. And it was always just a testament to pure power and strength just to get that weight there. Now my life, like one of my goals now going forward is a 405 clean eventually. Obviously I'm training powerlifting now, so that's kind of out of the picture for the upcoming future. But it's always been, it's kind of showing that to me, if you ask me like my top 5 goals for training going forward, the clean is always part of that. It's always just been like an integral part of training and what I enjoy about lifting. There's something about just bringing the weight in such an explosive manner up to a front clean position. And someday I'm going to hit that 405 clean, and I'm super excited to. But I just love the clean and how it's associated always with playing sports. It's a great way to develop explosive power. And man, my traps get absolutely toasted by cleans. So that's one of my favorite movements to do, and I hope to be doing some more of those soon in the next year or so. Now, number 1 on my list is the bench press. And I know some people probably thinking there's probably better ways to develop your chest and your tries, and maybe so. I've just been a huge fan of the bench press ever since I started lifting. It's such a great movement for just testing your willpower. You're holding a weight above your chest, and I mean, if you fail, you're getting pinned right there. And there's something about just feeling the weight right there and knowing that you're gonna hit it for how many reps you want to. Just having that confidence when you pick it off the rack, you're like, oh yeah, this is going up. It's such a great feeling. And for the longest time, my goal was a 315 bench. And I finally hit that when I was a freshman in college down in California. And then as soon as I hit that, I was like, 405 bench, that'll probably never happen. And then I just hit it like this December. I mean, granted, it's like 4 or 5 years later, but it's just a testament to how it's the lift I've tracked most. I remember hitting 225 for the first time, and I remember hitting 315 for the first time. I can't say the first time I hit a 405 squat or I hit a 500-pound deadlift. But I remember specifically where I was when I hit these milestones for bench. So it's just such a close movement to me. And you know, when you walk into a gym, no one asks like, oh, what's your deadlift? They're like, what's your bench press? You know, come on, tell me. So that's why it's my favorite movement. I just love the bench press, and it just holds a spot close to my heart. And granted, I'm probably not going to be benching forever. Like as I get older, I'll probably want to go do other strength sports, maybe strongman, weightlifting. Powerlifting is the only sport that has bench press as one of the events. So as soon as I'm done with powerlifting, or I kind of phase out of powerlifting, I'll probably not do it as much, but it'll always have a special place in my heart for lifting, and I'm just a big fan of it. It's great for developing chest, tricep, a little bit of shoulder, front delt. So like it's just a great movement for all around strength, and can really humble some people who think they're a little bit stronger than they actually are.